So today we're going to talk about one-step equations. When we're talking about one-step equations, what we're talking about are solving one-step equations. Okay, so we have some vocabulary we got to go over first. Our first vocab term: have the same solutions and are the result of balancing an equation. So when you're balancing an equation, you're making it even on both sides. Think of a weight. Okay, you want to make that even on both sides. Okay, when we do that, we call this equivalent equations. Equivalent equations. Okay. A variable means to have a variable with a coefficient of 1 by itself on one side of the equal sign. So when we're talking about that, we want to keep the variable by itself. We never touch the variable. We call this isolating. Isolating. When we isolate the variable, getting it by itself. Okay. The operations which undo each other, okay, is called inverse operations. Inverse operations. Okay, basically they take each other and cancel each other out. Okay, when we add or subtract something from one side of the equation to the other, we call this the addition slash subtraction property of equality. Okay, and then we do multiplying or dividing. We call this the multiplication or division property of equality. Okay, so those are some vocab terms that you need to know. So now we're going to talk about some examples on how to solve these. Alright, so when we're talking about how to solve these, the first thing we look for is look for the letter itself. So the letter is over on this side of the equal sign. Okay? When you look at that, you look at what is the operation currently there. And currently it's saying 3 plus w. Okay? And you ask yourself, well, what is the opposite of addition? Well, the opposite of addition in this case is subtraction. Okay? In all cases, it's subtraction. Remember, you only move numbers, never move letters. Okay, so only move numbers, never move letters. So we need to move this 3 here. And since it's being added to the W, we have to do the opposite, so we're going to subtract 3. Okay, but we can't do this only on one side. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So we're going to subtract 3 from both sides. What that does is it takes that 3 and it makes it go away, leaving me with just W. And then we just do exactly what it says. So this says negative 12 minus 3, which is negative 15. So our final answer would be W equals negative 15. Okay, let's try another one. Okay. So again, we got to find our letter. So our letter is on this side. And we got to look at the number itself. And currently this number is negative 4. Well, what's the opposite of being negative 4? The opposite is being positive 4. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So that's going to cancel those 4's out. So I'm going to get R is equal to, well, 7 plus 4, that's 11. So R is 11. Okay, let's take another one. So we're going to find our letter. So our letter's here. And then we're going to find the number on the same side of the letter, which is here. That's positive 8. Well, what's the opposite of being positive 8? The opposite of being positive 8 is negative 8. So whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So I'm subtracting 8. So those 8's go away. And I get V is equal to, what's 26 minus 8? 26 minus 8 is going to give me 18. So V is 18. Okay. So again, we're going to find our letter. Our letter's there. Okay. Then we got to look for the number next to the letter. It's there. It's positive 3. So the opposite of being positive 3 is negative 3. So we're going to subtract 3. And whatever I do to one side of that equal sign, I got to do the other. So we're going to cancel that out. So I'm going to get P, because that comes down. P is equal to positive 5. Okay, let's do a couple more. Got some more here. So let's again find our letter. So here's our letter. Okay, look for the number next to the letter. It's here, that's 15. Okay, since it's positive, the opposite of being positive is negative. So we want to put negative 15 here and negative 15 here. So we're going to cancel it out. We're going to bring down this b. So we get b is equal to, and then 23 minus 15, which gives me positive 8. Okay, let's look at another one. Again, find our letter. So here's our letter on this side. Now find the number next to the letter. It's there. Okay, right now it's negative 15. So the opposite of being negative 15 is being positive 15. And whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other number. Okay, so we're going to cancel that out. That end's going to come down. The equal sign will come down. And then it's going to be negative 9 plus 15, which gives me an answer of 6. So our n is equal to 6. Okay, again, let's do this again. So find our letter. Then find the number that goes with the letter, which is positive 4. Is the opposite of being positive 4. It's being negative 4. And I have to do that to the other number as well. So we're going to bring down that m. So we get m equals negative 12 minus 4, which is negative 16. Okay, so we're going to do another one. So again, first find your side with the letter. Circle everything. Okay, what's the number next to that letter? Here it's negative 7. What's the opposite of being negative 7? It's being positive 7. And whatever I do to one number, I have to do the other number. So we're going to do that there. We're going to bring down this x. So 13 plus 7, which gives us x is equal to 20. Okay, again, we're going to find our letter side with the letter, circle it. Then we're going to find the number that goes with that letter, which is there. Right now that number is negative 9. The opposite of negative 9 is being positive 9. And whatever I do to one, I have to do the other. And bring down that m, so I get m equals negative 4. And our last example for addition and subtraction. Okay, we're going to find our side with the letter. Then we're going to circle the number next to that letter. So that's going to be negative 6. So we're going to add 6 to both sides. Add 6. So I get P equals, well, negative 5 plus 6 is positive 1. So P is equal to 1. So there's plenty of examples of addition and subtraction there for you. Okay, so now let's talk about multiplication or division. Okay, so we do the same things that we did the first time. First, we find the side with our letter on it. Okay, and in this case, we don't really look at the number itself. What we look at is what is happening between the number and letter. Remember, when a number and a letter are side by side like that, that means they are currently being multiplied. Okay, so you got to ask yourself, well, what is the opposite of multiplication? Well, the opposite of multiplication is division. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide by 5 to both numbers. Okay, well, when I do that, those 5s go away, leaving me with just my k. So my k is going to come down. And then you just do what it says on the right-hand side. So it's 45 divided by 5, which is 9. So k is equal to 9. Okay, let's try another one. Let's look at this one over here. So on this side, I'm going to circle my letter again. Okay, and the operation that's happening there is they are dividing. Okay, and this negative actually will go with that number. So this is really saying -3. Okay, so it's saying x divided by -3. Well, what's the opposite of dividing by -3? Well, the opposite would be to multiply. So I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to multiply it by -3. Whatever I do to one side, or one number, I have to do the other, so those 3's go away. So you take down your x, comes down here, so you get x is equal to, and then you do -12 times -3. Remember, two negatives multiplied to equal positive, so it's going to give me positive 36. Alright, let's do some more examples. So in this again, circle my number and my letter. Right now, the number and letter are right side by side, so that means that it's being multiplied. So in this case, the opposite of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide by both sides here. Okay, that g is going to come down, so I'm going to get g is equal to, and it's 4 over -16. But the problem with fractions is you have to reduce them. So is there a number that goes into both 4 and 16? And yes, there is. That number is 4. So I got to divide the top number by 4 and the bottom number. So my new answer would be 4 divided by 4, which is 1. -16 divided by 4, which is -4. So my answer is -1 over 4. Alright, let's look at another one. So we're going to go number and letter side by side. Okay. Currently, it's that fraction bar. Remember, fractions mean division. Okay, so this is saying that it's c divided by -7. So what we're going to do is we're going to take both of those and we're going to multiply both sides by that denominator of -7. Okay, so the -7's go away, so I get c is equal to 11 times -7, which is -77. Okay, we're going to keep going. Got a couple more to go over. Alright, so again, find that letter, circle everything that's attached to it. Currently, that number and letter are side by side, which means they're being multiplied. So the opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 8. Divide by 8. Okay, that x gets brought down. The equal sign comes down. And then we do 104 negative divided by 8, which gives me an answer of -13. Okay. Let's look at number 12 again. Look for that number and letter, and there they are. Okay, so they have a number and a letter side by side. So that means they're being multiplied. What's the opposite of multiplication? The opposite is division. So we're going to divide both sides by 14. Bring down my b, so I get b is equal to -56 divided by 14, which gives me an answer of -4. Okay, last couple. Okay, again, find that number and letter. And this time I see a fraction bar. And remember, fraction means division. So we want to see what is the opposite of division. The opposite is multiplication. So we're going to multiply both sides by 18. So they go away. We're going to bring down that b and that equal sign. And 18 times -6 gives me an answer of -108. Our last example, again, find that number and letter. That number and letter right there. Currently, they're side by side, so that means that they are being multiplied. So we want the opposite of multiplication, which means we want division. So what is, bring down our n, and then 40 divided by 10 is 4. Okay, at this time, you can start your Math Excel, and I hope you do really well.